Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe if you're new. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Hello, guys. So we're back with another 13 keys prediction video. Now, in this video, we're essentially going to be looking at a professor at an American university's 13 keys predictions for presidential elections, uh, essentially by Allan Lichtman. He's gotten the last few presidential elections absolutely correct using this method. So we're just going to apply it here to a Biden versus Trump rematch and kind of see where it lands us.
Yeah, well, I'd like to note that he got 2000 wrong, but other than that, he's been pretty accurate. Um, so it's a pretty useful tool, and we've done it in the past, but we want to update it. It's been quite a few many months, and a lot of things have changed. A lot of politics has happened. So let's go through it. I guess we'll start with key number one, which is midterm gains. And actually, before I start, let's just make it known. Over here it says it, but if eight of the keys are true, if eight of these little things over here are true, then Biden is slated to win. And then if six are false or less than eight are true, then Trump or whoever the challenger on the Republican side is slated to win.
Hmm.
And it does look like it's going to be a rematch, so we might as well just keep it like that. But yeah, in terms of midterm gains, key number one basically states that if the incumbent party in the presidency, which is the Democrats right now, don't gain seats in the House of Representatives, they get this key to be true. And as you can see here, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
The Republicans gained 10 seats and flipped the House, although now it's even narrower now that
Yeah.
people have gone. But it
Yeah.
is going to be a certain false.
Yeah. Although Dems did better than expected in 2022, yeah, Republicans still gained seats, so that key definitely goes for them. Um, Going to key two here is no primary contest for the incumbent. Now this key, like in terms of specifics, defines like a valid primary contest as the incumbent getting less than two-thirds, or the chosen candidate getting less than two-thirds of the primary delegates. Biden is on track to definitely get more than that. Dean Phillips might pose some sort of a threat in New Hampshire because Biden isn't on the ballot there in the Democratic primary. But yeah, getting two-thirds of the national delegates is going to be impossible for him. So that's essentially full true.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a likely. Basically, Biden, he really only has Dean Phillips, some congressman, and Marianne Williamson, who's a sort of sketchy person that's I think she's been anti-vax, anti-science in the past, kind of distasteful. She's been into some mysticism, but she's also running for the Democrat nomination, and Biden's just going to win as the incumbent. Everyone's deferring to him in the Democrat leadership, even though many people aren't happy about that. He's still going to win by far. But yeah, I guess let's move. I guess that kind of just gives us
Yeah.
key three as well. He is seeking reelection, so there we go.
Hmm.
No third party here. I think this can be interpreted in different ways. There have been a few third parties that have been floated around. Most notably, RFK Jr. has been the biggest one, and he seems to be commanding a decent amount of support. He definitely doesn't have a chance to win, but he can definitely play spoiler to either candidate right now. He seems to be pulling both legacy Democrats and more moderate Republicans his little into his electorate, basically because he does have the Kennedy name, so he is pulling Democrats, especially older ones, and he has moderate stances on some issues. He also, I don't know why he's basically a Democrat on most things, but just because he voted a lot of things about vaccine freedom and not taking the vaccine and vaccine mandates, being opposed to them, he's gotten a lot of Republican coverage in conservative media, which
Yeah.
has bolstered his standing there. So he will take it both. But there's other third parties as well. You want to talk about those too?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. there's Robert F. Kennedy, who's obviously part of that kind of Kennedy family, although he's kind of been disowned by them to some extent. In terms of other third parties who are a little pulling less than Robert F. Kennedy, there's Cornel West. He's been talked about for a while. I think he was initially trying to run for the Green Party ticket, and then he switched to an independent. He's definitely on the more progressive side. He kind of like, yeah, he kind of reminds me of like a progressive Democrat. It's like more of like a progressive challenger to Biden, which could definitely siphon votes. Like if it's going to siphon votes from anyone, it's definitely going to siphon them from Biden. The other thing about him is that now that he's running as an independent, he might struggle to get ballot access to some states. Um, but yeah, there's always the threat of him actually making it and taking a few percentage away from Biden. Initially, there's the Green Party, where Jill Stein, who was the candidate for the Green Party in 2016, is running again in 2024. She's probably going to clinch the Green nomination. And the Green Party usually gets ballot access on a bunch at a bunch of states, so she's probably going to further take votes from Biden. Um, so yeah, I would say that the no third party is at least a lean or likely false right now. Um, but something I will note is that third parties usually pull really good in the beginning, before it kind of gets into this horse race coverage later in the election cycle, and you see their margins decline. I think we could even like go back to the Oregon election in 2022, if you remember that, the governor's race, where the third party candidate was initially pulling at 20% and dropped to like 8 by election day. So I don't know. I'm skeptical that any singular candidate could reach 5% of the third party right now. I don't know. What do you think on this, Alvin? Like, what do you have to say on this?
I think the difference between this and another race such as the 2022 Oregon gubernatorial race is that the two candidates up for election right now are disliked by a lot of independents and those types of people that might vote for third parties. For example, the far left wing of the Democrat Party is really looking into third parties like Cornel West and Jill Stein because they just really don't want to vote for Biden. There's been a recent push to boycott voting for Biden because of him supporting Israel, for example, on the far left. And you even have just a lot of coverage of not voting for Trump just because of, for example, his January 6th, which I guess today is January 6th. So
No, you're right.
we are on that third year anniversary already. But because of his role on January 6th, for example, and they want to vote for RFK and they like his vaccine stances. And I just think there's so much anti two-party sentiment this time that's really been boiling ever since 2016 and even a little before that. But ever since then, the amount of hatred for the two parties, especially among the youth, has just been growing larger and larger. And I
Hmm,
think that's why we can put this in likely.
okay, I think that's a
No
fair.
third party.
That's fair.
All right. You want to continue?
Okay, next is strong short-term economy. Now, this Alan Lichtman's like key here is essentially defined by whether or not we're in a recession, like essentially whether or not we're having consecutive periods of growth in our GDP, and we have been. Like we've been our GDP has been growing despite inflation, which has been cooling down anyway. Like our GDP has been largely just on a constant upward path. So I think this key is definitely true, at least right now. In terms of like on election day, yeah, I think we could put it likely true because the economy's just been trending upward recently. So yeah.
Yeah, I will say there was a momentary scare in 2022. You can't see it here, but if we go to the larger graph of gross domestic product, if you look at quarter one and two of 2022, there were 2 quarters of declining in our gross domestic product in the US, which is the definition for a recession. And so there were a lot of fears throughout uh, pretty much everywhere in the US that a recession was about to hit. Inflation was very high here, and we thought the business cycle might turn into a recession very shortly, especially during the course of 2024. And so now though, we've had a real upturn in the economy. Stocks have been going up. If you've been investing, those finance pros out there would know that the economy has been doing pretty well recently, and I think while it's not certainly true, we can put this as likely in terms of
Yeah,
not being in a recession when we do hit election day.
yeah. Uh, Next is like long term. If you want to go over that.
Yeah, so long-term economy here, as it says the real per capita economic growth during the term equals or exceeds mean growth during the previous two terms. That is some fancy economic jargon, but what it means is that if you look at this graph, I've already set it to Obama's first term, basically, I mean, Obama's second term, starting in 2013 to now. And so what that means is the previous two terms is Obama's second term and Trump's only term so far. And if you look at these two terms, you calculate when Obama entered his third term, which was right here, quarter 1 of 2013, and you look at when Trump left office, which is right here, quarter 1 of 2021, and how you calculate the mean per capita growth here is you just you subtract this number minus this number, and then you divide by this number to get the percentage change. And the percentage change right now is 2.35% over that time. And Biden right now is hitting 2.85 for his term, so he is on track here. And so right now, while it's not certain, it is at least a lean true for this key.
Yeah, I mean, barring any like extreme downturn in the economy, it seems like Biden's going to keep the economy going on that good end. Okay, so let's move to the next key, I guess.
All right. Let's go on to major policy change. I think you should talk about this one.
Oh yeah, major policy change. I think Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, which he passed, I believe in was it 2022 or 20 might have been 2021. It's been a while, but 2021 or 2022. That's definitely a major piece of legislation. I think even Allan Lichtman considers it a major piece of legislation in terms of lowering prescription drug costs, which I believe goes into effect this year. Um, Major investments in climate change, and essentially just like putting billions and billions of dollars into um, renovating like and changing the U.S. economy to angle us more toward clean energy. And yeah, I definitely think that classifies as a major policy change.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think this one is certainly true. It has already happened, and so I think Biden's locked that one in. Maybe now we can go to social unrest. Now, social unrest was pretty absent in Biden's term until potentially recently with the war in Israel and Gaza. And with that war, there has been a lot of, a lot of activity online, a lot of activity on the streets in terms of should Biden be doing what he's doing? There's a lot of
Yeah,
people calling him Genocide Joe, for example, and they are, and this is mainly coming from the left as well. This is not coming from the right. And
yeah.
so the no social unrest key right now, it is starting to die down, but I will say there has been a lot of these sort of marches for, for Gaza, or, counter marches for pro-Israel. And I think it's not really a peaceful time. You want to talk about this?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like the key does say specifically during the election season. Um, Trump was unfortunate enough to have the Black Lives Matter protests during his election campaign. These protests are already, like as you said, are already sort of dying down. Um, but I mean, I think it does kind of highlight the risk of, okay, maybe like with the far left having disagreements with Joe Biden, and obviously almost the entire right of the political aisle having disagreements with Joe Biden, there is a real risk of social unrest, especially in a contentious election year with Trump. So is it? I doubt this issue is going to extend into the election campaign, just because I feel like the average American has the memory of a goldfish in terms of like major issues. People have already sort of like forgotten about Ukraine, for example. Um, but yeah, do I think another issue can arise that could check this off? Yes, I do not think this is the issue though.
You don't think this is the one?
Nah.
All right. I think we can put this to a lean true, just because it's probably unlikely this at least carries all the way until
Yeah.
election season. However, I think this has the potential to sink Biden in and of itself. If you remember in 2016, when there was a lot of hype about Hillary being the first woman president, what really sunk her on some level was Bernie Bros abstaining on the election or even voting for Trump because they were very unhappy with how the DNC handled the primary, and the far left just went against the candidate that the Democrats put up. And so this could be another case of that, right? Of course, you're going to have narrowing up, but you also have these third parties. Where is this going to go? And so the issue of Israel and Gaza might be the one that haunts Biden until election day if things go south for him.
Okay.
All right.
Next is the ninth key is no scandal.
No scandal.
I mean, I largely think that there hasn't been a major Biden scandal yet. I mean, you see Republicans like, I mean, they're doing an impeachment inquiry into Biden. They've launched that, but it's just an inquiry. There, it's not like it doesn't seem to me, at least, they found any dirt specific to Joe Biden. They found stuff on his son, and the focus has largely been around his son, Hunter Biden. But other than that, like, I mean, they still like I still they're still really making like failing to make that connection between Hunter and Joe. I don't yeah, I don't think they really have that scandal yet.
I don't think so either. I think the recently you've just seen impeachment be a word thrown around all the time. It used to be this type of thing that would be used very, very seldomly, but nowadays the word impeach shows up at the top of the news every other week, and Americans just stop really caring about it, right?
Yeah, you're
And
right.
I mean, it used to be this thing where, oh, Andrew Johnson's getting impeached. Wow. Bill Clinton's getting impeached. That's crazy. But nope, nowadays, Trump gets impeached twice, doesn't even really affect his presidency. So
Yeah.
that's just how it goes. And I think even if Biden does get impeached, it's not the end of the world for him at all. However, there is definitely potential here. It's just it doesn't seem
Yeah.
to be rising to that level at all. I think probably likely true seems
Yeah,
to be
like
the
I mean,
best
it's
characterization.
always possible. I mean, like with all these politicians in high places,
Oh
there's always
yeah.
some corruption. There's always but like I don't think that it seems like the Republicans in Congress who've been investigating Biden haven't found anything major yet. I don't think there's any going to be any major scandal for Biden, but it's possible. It's possible. It's always possible. You never know what the news cycle can throw us next week.
Yeah, I do also think it is about sort of, if Republicans can convince the American public that Biden is morally corrupt. Okay, because you can look at all the evidence surrounding Hunter Biden and, what was Joe Biden's interference in these business calls and his involvement in them, and why is Hunter Biden doing this sketchy thing and that sketchy thing, and why is his laptop doing XYZ. But if you can't get the American public and not just the Republican base, I mean, you have to win over independents that think Biden
Yeah.
is morally corrupt. If you can't do that, this key can't be flipped. And I mean, it's unfortunate for Republicans, but that's just how it is. And it's hard to dig up dirt. It's difficult, right?
Hmm.
So, all right. No foreign or military failure.
This one's interesting because I mean, like, okay, I mean, I don't think like all okay. There's been like kind of an international crisis like every year of the Biden administration. Like to some extent, like I mean, like the Israel-Hamas war is one. I wouldn't consider that a military failure. Israel's like, which is the U.S. Basically aligned with the U.S. is winning, that war pretty easily and probably overkilling it. Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine is still holding its own. They thought it would fall in weeks. Those aren't really military failures. They can't be classified as military failures. Afghanistan, which happened in 2021, with the U.S. withdrawal there was really messy. I think that could be debatable. Um, I mean, it, I'm not sure because it's more just the U.S. trying to get out. Like, is that really a military play? I don't know, Alvin. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm gonna say that that was a major military failure. If you look at Biden's approval rating, that was when he lost his honeymoon phase when it
You're
comes
right.
to the American public approving of him. He was always above water in terms of being above 50% approval until the Afghanistan pullout, right? He was always seen as this, he was a stable hand, he's gonna make politics normal again after Trump. But after Afghanistan, a huge swath of the country lost confidence in him, and he never recovered after that, actually. And for that reason, I think that is likely at least a failure on his part. You also have Israel and Gaza going on right now. That's again angering the far left, and I think
Mhm.
if Afghanistan doesn't rise to that level for that bloc, Gaza is, and for independents and Republicans, certainly Afghanistan is going to count. I will give him credit for how he handled Ukraine, though. I think that kind of leads into key number 11, which is major foreign or military success. And I think Biden did do a good job in terms of uniting NATO around Ukraine. And I think he's also done a decent job in Israel, although a lot of people would disagree with me. I think he has done decently in Israel. And I think it's at least likely true, maybe certainly true for this key. Um, However, it would have been better if Russia did not invade Ukraine at all. I think that would be even more of a success. But in terms of what you can control as an American president, I know Trump said a lot about how if he was president, he would be telling Putin about how he would just nuke Moscow if he invaded Ukraine, and that would deter him. But you know, I think in terms of success, it's at least a likely true.
Yeah, I mean, I largely agree with that as well. I mean, um, I do think, yeah, military success, Ukraine. Yeah, uniting NATO, adding new members to our alliance, essentially getting Ukraine like as a staunch ally to fight Russia and like weakening the Russian economy. I think Russia at one point even had to deal with like its own mini insurrection with Wagner forces marching toward Moscow for a bit. So we're throwing one of our greatest rivals into chaos with this. So yeah, like I essentially that's definitely a military success. Um, Back to the military failure one though, I will note, I want to note just before we fully mark that Al Lichtman does state that he doesn't think Afghanistan will have that big of an effect on 2024 election. I just want to note that. I'm not sure I'd agree with the likely false rating you put there, but I guess we can leave it for now. I'd put it at least lean personally, but
We can
yeah,
do
I
that.
don't know. I, I agree. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I agree. I agree with both now. I think we could put a lean military
I
failure there. Because
Okay.
2021's a long way away. Do you think anyone's like going about talk about Afghanistan? I don't really think so. I mean,
Well, no one's been talking about Afghanistan, but it is a big reason why the American public lost so much faith in him. Right? They
you're
might
right.
have
You're right.
they might have trusted him more on other things. Maybe, maybe Republicans would have trusted him more on Ukraine even if he didn't
Hmm.
have this failure in Afghanistan. He might have been able to control the narrative around inflation even in 2022. But no, because of how everyone just started to disapprove of his ratings everywhere. I think it's at least lean,
Afghanistan,
maybe not,
yeah,
maybe never.
Afghanistan might have started it, but like I don't, yeah, I don't think any of the lasting hate is due to Afghanistan. Most of it's probably due to with the economy and inflation, I think personally. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's definitely, I think in terms of military failure, it's very debatable. It's very debatable.
All right,
Um, okay,
go into the last two
the
keys.
last two, charismatic incumbent. Biden is not charismatic. Have you seen his
No
approval
one,
ratings? Um,
no
and
one thinks he's charismatic. Not even his wife.
yeah, I don't. I mean, maybe his wife. I mean,
I
it's
don't
his
even know
wife.
about that one.
But like, yeah, like his approval ratings are in the dump. He's not really like he's high 30s. That's and you could even like we could probably even wrap uncharismatic challenger into this. Trump is not charismatic either. His approval ratings are in the same place as Biden. And he was rated uncharismatic by Allan Lichtman in 2020. So I doubt that's changed either. So
Yeah, I will say as a footnote there, Trump is charismatic to his base, but not to the 60% of other Americans. Biden is charismatic to approximately no one. So I
Yeah.
guess Trump has that edge, but Trump isn't charismatic. Here is actually very high. I don't know what to say threshold. You have to
Yeah.
reach a pretty high threshold. I think the only person to actually hit this threshold in the past uh many years was Reagan, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe John McCain. I think those are the only two people that have actually reached that threshold in all of the elections since
I wonder if
this has been
Obama hit it
used.
too. I mean,
No,
I'm
he
not sure
didn't.
if
I
he didn't.
looked.
Oh,
He did not. Only John McCain because he's a war hero, and Reagan back when he had his monster win
yeah, yeah.
over.
Everyone definitely Reagan was
Right.
charismatic there.
So yeah, that was about it though. I did look, and Obama did not have that. So
Okay. So right
yeah,
now, these keys are leaning in Biden's favor. I think that's like I just like the main thing is basically the economy. I think there that's definitely that's definitely up. I think is the most variable that could change. But yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, how does this differ from our last like predictions? Like how so like
yeah.
does
If
it
we
much or like
just actually, I think Obama actually might have gotten it once, but you didn't get it the other time. But
oh
I'm
okay,
not
okay.
sure. Okay, but anyways, if we look back here, it is the same amount of true to falses, but I think the ways that these things have changed have been slightly different. For example, we did flip the no third party
Yeah,
rating from actually all the way from likely true to likely false with the emergence of all these third parties that are incoming.
I think that's fair.
We changed strong short-term economy from lean true to likely true. It definitely looks like there's a much smaller chance of recession now. And Biden has improved the long-term economy from this type of lean false to lean true now. With
Yeah,
the recent economic data that we've been getting in the strong economic 20 year of 2023, social unrest has gotten worse for him. It's kind of on a knife's edge. Um, Foreign military failure has, I guess we just put it one worse, maybe because of Israel and Gaza getting slightly worse for him, and everything else is the same. So it's still 9 true to 4 false, which is good for Biden. He still has some leeway. Even if he loses the social unrest, he still has 8,
that's
which is
true.
enough for him to win. So he's really just got to hold on to this, his scandals, and the economy because everything else is locked in for him. So he just got to hold on to the economy and the social unrest. And according to the keys, he will be in. But there is a point to be made here that this is a very unconventional election with so like two very old and unpopular
Unpopular.
candidates.
Yeah.
So it could the keys could be wrong here. They were wrong in 2000. So I guess that was it's wrong every 4 or 5 elections. This could be the one that it's wrong on. So you never know. These keys are not perfect, but they're a good guideline, so we use them. But yeah, thanks for watching. Anything else to say?
Yeah, I mean, share our videos. We have quality bipartisan election content.
You don't see this
And
anywhere else, really. Yeah. Leave a like, leave a comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.
see ya.